Hey everyone, welcome back to the NPTE podcast. This is Will Crane, your host. Thank you so much for joining me as we go through the content you need in order to absolutely dominate the NPTE. So today we've got a practice question related to the non-systems. As you know, I like to go through all of the FSBPT content outline categories. Today is no different. We will go through a practice question related to the non-systems and professional responsibilities. But before we get to that, just a quick reminder that if you'd like to sign up for any of our ongoing discounts and get our cheat sheets, be sure to go to ptfinalexam.com/podcast, where you can sign up and get all the newsletter, the information, everything you need to pass the NPTE. Plus, if you haven't already, please take a moment and leave a review for us over on Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, wherever it is you're listening to this podcast. As we try to get the word out, it would be much appreciated. And as always, we are running classes, ongoing classes over at PT Final Exam. We're just getting our VIP course started. This is appropriate for both PTs and PTAs and takes you through the entire content outline of the FSBPT so that you can be ready for exam day. In addition to that, we have our PT premium classes, our PTA classes, our crash courses 3 weeks before every test day. Really, you can find out all about it over at ptfinalexam.com, and we can help you get through the exam, give you the tools you need to succeed, and get the score you deserve. So today we'll be talking professional responsibilities. So on the NPT, the non-systems section, there's about 30 questions or so related to the non-systems. Now, as you know, this goes through a wide variety of topics from the modalities to equipment and devices, all the way through to professional responsibilities. And so today we'll be doing a professional responsibilities question. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into our question. We'll talk through it as per our usual, give you a moment to respond and talk through the rationale together. According to the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, or HIPAA, a patient's protected health information can be reasonably disclosed without the patient's consent in each of the following instances except, so this is a negatively worded question, so according to HIPAA, a patient's protected health information can be reasonably disclosed without the patient's consent in each of the following instances except, so we have to find the one that you cannot disclose the patient's protected health information. Number 1, healthcare operations. Number 2, payment. Number 3, training. And number 4, treatment. So you can, according to HIPAA, a patient's protected health information can be reasonably disclosed without the patient's consent in each of the following instances except healthcare operations, payment, training, or treatment. So the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, also known as HIPAA, this is the law that governs how we deal with protected health information as a part of our care, a part of our patient's care. Now, clearly, the biggest part of this is to protect privacy of the patient, and that's why you cannot disclose the patient's information without consent, except in a few specific instances. So, for instance, for healthcare operations, payment, and treatment, you can communicate or disclose the patient's protected health information. And if you're wondering about protected health information, that would be the patient's name, any identifying features, the illness, the course of illness, the number of visits, all of those things are related to are very much so protected health information. The thing you cannot use their protected information for would be for training purposes. So training, marketing. You can imagine this, like let's say that the hospital is doing an ongoing or continuing education training and they pull a patient file and they say, all right, John Smith has such and such disease and he's being treated for this, this, this. That would be clearly a case where it would be outside the scope of what you could use protected health information for. You could use it for healthcare operations. That would be like scheduling or coordinating with other staff to make sure that the MRI suite is available that day, or that the clinic is open on XYZ day, so that the patient can participate in treatment. So clearly, even treatment among healthcare providers, you can communicate with those on what we would call a need to know basis. So if a patient or if you have another caregiver that is helping you in some way, or you're rendering care together, clearly you can communicate about the patient. And then certainly in a case of payment, this would be where you could communicate to the payment provider the number of visits, the identifying information for the patient. Make sure that that is clearly communicated so that appropriate payment can be rendered. So that being said, the only thing you cannot there are many things that you cannot disclose protected health information for, and among those would be marketing, training, and certainly anything that you don't need to know. So curiosity, gossip, social media, any number of these things, you would have to be extremely cautious about a patient's protected health information without their written consent. So if they have given written consent, then you can start to possibly foray into that. But this question is about HIPAA and what you can reasonably do without the patient's consent, and that would be healthcare operations, payment, and treatment. You'd be able to disclose their protected health information as necessary in each of those cases. So there you go. That's the question about professional responsibilities. Definitely a part of the test that is difficult to study for because there's not one concise location for all the information. So like this question I pulled out of a book that's about professionalism in PT. But realistically speaking, when it comes to the Nonsystems professional responsibilities, the key is to, number one, understand what your responsibilities are. But number two is to understand all of the stakeholders in the discussion. So you've got the payer, the PT, and the patient. So the 3 Ps of professional responsibilities. You have to make sure that all 3 of those stakeholders, are finding a win-win-win situation where everyone is protected and is receiving the best care possible. All right, so with that, we'll bring today to a conclusion. As always, be sure to check out our other episodes. You can listen to us anywhere you listen to fine podcasts. So that's on Google Play, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, really anywhere you can find podcasts. You can find us there. Be sure to check out ptfinalexam.com/podcast for all of the latest info. And in the meantime, stay safe out there. Happy studying. Will Crane fist pumps all around.